If you have an Abarth 595 or even a Fiat 500, one of the most popular modifications you may be looking to make is to lower the car. Now, lowering a car serves two real purposes. Firstly, not only does it look really cool, but the second point is it lowers the centre of gravity and adds stiffness, basically meaning your car doesn't wallow about as much as what it would on standard springs. And this is certainly something I found I needed, because when I took my Abarth 595 to the Nürburgring, essentially it was wallowing around all over in the fast corners, not giving me the full experience with which I was wanting. Now, my Abarth 595 is the competizione, basically meaning that it comes factory fitted with some Eibach springs that sit it slightly lower than other models as it comes out the factory. However, as you can see, if I would just pop on screen the stock ride height, it is still incredibly high. So what we can actually do is fit some additional lowering springs, and there are two main players. We have got Eibach and we have got H&R. And what I'm going to be doing on this video is comparing both of these two manufacturers just to see basically how they look once they're fitted, the ride height, how they handle. The reason for this is because actually what I've not told you yet is the fact that I have already fitted those additional Eibach lowering springs to my car. Basically, I just wanted the car to look that little bit lower, and if I just pop an example on screen, there is a huge difference in ride height between stock Eibach springs and the aftermarket ones. However, there is a bit of a problem. And that problem is the ride height on the car already. You see, this is the front of the car, and as you can see, it looks absolutely fantastic. Okay, I can fit just about 2 fingers in there, which doesn't look too bad, but overall I really like the way the front of the car actually sits. But the problem is the rear, because if we come to the rear of the car, even though it doesn't particularly look it from a distance, if we come up close, that rear arch gap is still absolutely huge. As you can see there, I can fit a full nearly 4 fingers in there, and no car that is lowered should still have an arch gap of over 3 fingers, in my personal opinion. So what I'm looking to do in this video is fix that by fitting the H&R lowering springs. Whilst the Eibach springs have done an absolutely fantastic job, look really cool at the front, the H&R springs actually lower the rear of the car that little bit further. So I'm hoping to see a big difference in the way that it looks, but hopefully the H&R springs can match how the Eibach springs feel, because they're really good quality springs. So I thought I'd just pick this up in the car just to discuss the Eibach springs that are currently on the car. You see, for me, I've had these on the car for over 6 months now. That's given me more than enough time to establish how good they are, how they feel, and basically gain a really informed opinion. And it has to be said, I absolutely love these springs. Now, one question you may be asking yourself is, hang on, if you knew you had Eibach and H&R options, and you knew that the Eibach didn't lower the rear as much as the H&R, why did you buy the Eibach springs? Quite frankly, because I've used this brand so many times in the past, and I know what I'm getting. I've run Eibach springs on my Mercedes. I currently run Eibach springs on my Toyota Supra. So when it came to finding some springs for my Abarth, they seemed the absolute obvious choice. Now, what I really do love about Eibach springs is they have this magic ability to not only lower the car, but to stiffen the car, whilst also somehow feeling like factory levels of comfort. And this is the reason why I generally go for Eibach, because yeah, obviously lowering your car is cool, and adding stiffness makes a big difference to the handling, but you don't want it to be crashing or banging over bumps, and Eibach certainly do not do that. They retain that comfort of the factory ride whilst giving you the other benefits. This, what I'm travelling on now, is an incredibly bumpy road, and they just handle it so well. And of course, when it comes to the fun parts, those B roads, those twisties, honestly, it just feels so much better. But for the reasons I've already mentioned, those H&R springs should just sit the rear down that little bit more, a bit more to my liking. So what I'm going to do is just pick this video up once I've gone and got the tool I need and got the suspension swapped over. I'll do a few little short cinematics just to show the process, and then after that what we'll do is we'll pick it back up after going for a good drive to form an opinion, and we'll also take a look at the ride height just to see how much difference these H&R springs actually make. Now, Now this is certainly a job an amateur mechanic can do themselves pretty easily with a half decent socket set and Allen key set just to save on labour costs. This whole job should take you around 3 hours, taking things nice and steady. Now I took the chance to replace certain bolts and even the spring rubber mount for the top of the rear springs whilst everything was apart. It's just good practice. At the end of the day, if it is a consumable, you might as well replace it at the same time. Now as you can see, there is quite a visual difference between the two sets of springs, with the H&R seemingly having slightly thinner coils but more of them, especially in the rear. And when we look at the front, again you can see that there are certainly more coils, and in the middle they are more tightly wound. I then took the chance to clean everything in the wheel arches and just general degrease everything while the wheels were off, and then I performed a deep clean on my wheels. And if you want to see a review of the wheel cleaner I used to get these as sparkling as possible, I will leave a link at the end of the video so you can go check that out. Now it's time to put everything back together and go for a test drive. Let me tell you, there is a huge difference between the two springs and the way that they feel. You may like this, you may not, but the first thing I noticed literally as soon as I went for my very first drive with these H&R springs, oh my goodness, there is so much less body roll. I genuinely believed wholeheartedly that the Eibachs had massively stiffened everything up, and that would have been a really good thing, and of course they did over and above these stock springs. But as soon as I fitted these H&Rs, it was crazy. Literally driving around tight corners, tight bends like these, just absolutely phenomenal, the difference that you actually feel. Now of course that does come with a bit of a downside, because it goes without saying, if you've got less body roll, the springs are going to be a little bit stiffer. And this is a really good road for testing those out. But of course the stiffer springs quite simply mean the fact that you're going to have a bit more of an uncomfortable ride. Is it massively uncomfortable compared to the Eibachs? I have to confess, absolutely no. But there is a difference that cannot be denied. So what I'm going to do now is, with that in mind, is just pull up and we'll take a good look at just how the ride height actually sits with these H&R springs so we can compare them to the Eibachs. So it's fair to say, in my opinion, the difference is absolutely huge. You see, the Eibachs lower the Abarth by 20mm front and back, whereas the H&R springs lower the front by 20mm, but the rear by 35mm. So hopefully this video will help you decide which springs you would like to go for in this, hopefully, a comprehensive review. The H&R springs do sit that little bit lower, and I personally prefer the look of the car, and they are stiffer, giving a lot less body roll, but of course you do have to deal with a slightly harsher ride. whereas the Eibachs do lower that front to a really nice level. The back sits a little bit higher, but it's certainly a bit more compliant on the road. So of course the choice is entirely up to you. If you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. It tells the YouTube algorithm more people just like you might want to watch my content. Subscribe if you're awesome. Until next time, see you again soon.